Hello students, I am your geography teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST 2. Students, today we are going to start our next chapter, that is migration, types, causes and consequences. So before going to start the chapter migration, let's watch a short video from the current issues. As just now you have seen in the video that it was a video of the people, those who were migrating from one state to their hometown, means at the workplace where they were working to their hometown because of this pandemic COVID-19. So that is also a kind of migration. Today, as we are going to study about the chapter migration, so first of all, we will study the introduction of the chapter, in which we will see what is migration and how it can be possible. At the second part, we will see migration in the past decades. Then after that, we will study the types and streams of migration. As we know, there are lots of types or streams of migration, so that also we will study in our third part of today's video. So let's start our today's chapter with the introduction of the chapter. So what is migration? The movement of people from one place to another place in search of food, shelter, their livelihood and for earning. This movement from one place to another is known as migration. It can be temporary or permanent. So, we will see the migration. It can be categorized as various types like in-migration, out-migration, migration for a few years or for a permanent basis. That is known as the migration. Students, migration is not a new word. Migration was started in the past. Even in very ancient time, there was a migration of people in form of karmas which was done by the wanderers. They were moving one place to another place in search of food and shelter. But in our Indian history, we can include migration from the colonial period. So total, in the past of Indian history, migration is having three types of waves. So these waves are number one, migration and colonial period, which is of 1820. Then after that, we will talk about the second wave. The second wave of migration was started in 1960s. Migration. It was for the better job opportunities into other states, even out of the country. Then after that, the third wave of migration was started in 1970s. Migration of educated people. So there are total three waves. That is the migration of colonial period around 1820s. Then after that, migration of 1960s in search of better job opportunities. And the third wave was started in 1970s migration, which is known as the migration of the educated people from one state to a better state, job opportunities, and even to the other countries. So let us know what were the three waves of migration during that time. So let's see one by one the first wave. That is during colonial period. Millions of indentured laborers were sent to many other cities like Caribbean cities, Fiji and South Africa by British from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar to work as plantation workers. All such migrations were covered under the time-bound contract known as Girmit Act, which is also known as the Indian Migration Act. The living conditions of these laborers were not better than the slaves. That was the very first migration from our country. And second is known as the second wave migration. The millions of professors, artisans, traders, and factory workers in search of economic opportunities migrated to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, and African countries. It led to steady outflow of India's skilled and semi-skilled laborers in the wake of oil boom in West Asia in 1970s. There was also some outflow of entrepreneurs, store owners, professionals and businessmen in Western countries. Then after that, the third wave which is going on, it comprises professionals like doctors, engineers, software engineers, management consultant, financial experts, media person to countries such as the USA, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand and Germany. These professionals enjoy distinction of being highly educated and the highest earning and prospering groups. The implications of that migrations were like a brain drain. The highly qualified and skilled people are moving out of the country, leaving unskilled and illiterate stuff for domestic economy. It has stuff for domestic economy and created scarcity of qualified manpower in the country. Also, one more implication we can say that Indian diaspora is playing an important role in the development of other countries of destination. Now let us know some more information about the Indian migration. The enumeration in India, which is happening in every 10 years, it is depending on the census of that year. That we are having the census of 2011. So the enumeration basis of Indian migration, we are having total two types on the basis of that census. So these are the place of birth and second is place of residence. So we will go through the place of birth. We know that generally the people, they are belonging to that area where they born. So, at the place of birth, if the place of birth is different from the place of enumeration, means sometimes we are migrating from our birthplace permanently. So, it is known as the lifetime migration, where we move from birthplace to the another place. Second type of migration is place of residence on the basis of enumeration. So, place of residence means the place where that is not a birthplace but it's a residence place. So, if the place of enumeration is different from the place of last migration, is known as the residence migration. Means where we are living currently, that is known as the place of residence, and the residence migration is the name of that migration. So now we will see what are the types or streams of the migration. Now let's see what are the types of migration. Types of stream of migration generally can be categorized into two types. That is internal migration second is international migration. If we will go through the internal migration first. Internal migration means the migration within the country. It is within the country. When people are moving from one state to another state, one district to another district, this type of migration is known as the internal migration, which is known as the within the country migration. Now, international migration, it is in between the countries. When the movement of people is from one country to another country, that is known as the international migration. Now, the internal migration is also of four types. There are four categories of internal migration. What are these? Number 1, R to R. Number 2, R to U. Number 3 is U to U, and number 4 is U to R, where R stands for rural and U stands for the urban. So in the first one, R to R, when the migration is there in the rural areas to rural areas, it is known as the rural migration. Number 2, rural areas to urban areas is known as the rural urban migration. Then urban to urban migration is the U to U migration is there. Then fourth is the urban to rural areas is known as the fourth type of internal migration. So that is the migration of within the country. Then after that, international migration. If you will go through the internal migration, international migration, it is also of two types. That is immigration means into the country. And second is emigration. out migration. So here we are having two types of main migration. That is, or we can say two types of streams of migration. First is internal migration, which is within the country. Second is international migration, that is in between the countries. Third is the type of internal migration, that is R to R, R to U, urban to urban, then urban to rural. Then we will go through the international migration, which is in between the countries. It is of two types, that is immigration and emigration. Immigration means into the countries and emigration means out migration. Now let's see more about these internal migration and the international migrations. There are some other types of migration, that is intrastate, within the state migration, and interstate variation, which is between the states. Some more points on that females predominate the short distance rural to rural migration in both the type, mostly related to their marriage. So that is also coming under the type of migration in the intrastate or the interstate migration. In India, there are two states those are having a largest number of in-migration and out-migration, as Maharashtra is known for the heavy in-migrations and Uttar Pradesh known as a heavy out-migration. Moreover on it, we can include the permanent migration as well as the temporary migration. When people migrate to another place for a long time or for lifetime, it is called a permanent migration. In the other hand, when people migrate to another place for at least 1 year or seasonally, it is called temporary migration. If we will include more point on intrastate and interstate migration. Intrastate is the type of migration remains within the boundary of the state. As well, the people may migrate from one district to another or one village to another. And this type of migration, in that the majority of them are the female migrants due to the marriage. And if we will go through the interstate migration, in it people migrate from one state to another state because it is in between the states. And the migration is comparatively low because large scale of migrant decline to move because of increasing distance, and the main reason is employment and economic activities. Majority of them are the male migrants. So in the intrastate, majority is of females, and the interstates is the majority of males. Now let's see some more variation in the migration in India. If you will go through the census, generally there is no so much difference in the migration in internal or international. But there are some variations in the migration in between the countries. Like, we will take an example. The economically well-run states like Maharashtra, Goa, Delhi, these are the economical hub for the country. So these are having lots of variation in the population distribution. The countries, those are not economically well, as Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. The people, or mostly the labor, they are migrating from their states to the economically well-done states, and that is known as the variation in migration. Let's look upon some data. Those are showing the variation in migration on the basis of economy. our today's topic is complete. In our next video, we will study about the causes of migration and consequences in the migration. So for that, keep watching SST Joe.